Hi everyone, I'm Heidi from Susan's family. Today I'm bringing you a gradient diamond scarf. This scarf includes 3 parts, the main part, the edging and the pom-poms. First, crochet the main part, then crochet the edging around the edges of the main part. Finally, crochet the pom-poms, and attach them to the edging. The main part of this scarf uses self-stripping yarn. Different starting positions for crocheting. The finished product will look different. When crocheting, use a little more than half of each skein. Before working, you can unwind some yarn from both ends of the 2 skeins. One from the darker end and one from the lighter end. The exact weight to unwind is shown in the chart. Then choose the middle color segment to crochet. This makes the finished product more beautiful. You can also choose color segments based on your preference while crocheting. And unwind the unused yarn. Then when crocheting, start using one skein from the lighter end and the other skein from the darker end. The yarn used for edging and pom-poms is special and not easy to undo. It's also hard to see the stitches clearly. It's recommended to first practice the crocheting method with leftover yarn at home. Once familiar, use the original yarn for crocheting. Start by learning the crocheting method for the main part. The main part starts with a foundation chain, working back and forth along the starting chain. During the crocheting process, the main part requires switching colors to form the diamond pattern. The colors of the stitches on the chart correspond to the yarn colors. Refer to the color chart on the diagram for specific color schemes. The stitches used include chain, double crochet, DC 2-in-1, and DC 3-in-1. Watch me demonstrate the specific crocheting method to make it clearer for everyone. I'm using cotton yarn for this demonstration. For specific yarn, color schemes and hook sizes, please refer to the detail page of our product and paper instructions. First, cast on. Hold the yarn with left hand. Make a slip knot first. Adjust the tension. Then crochet the corresponding number of chains according to the chart. Mindful not to crochet the starting chains too tight. This completes the cast on. When crocheting with the original yarn, we need to pay attention that there's one main yarn plus one fine thread. Which should be pulled through together when crocheting. Next, crochet row 1. Chain 3 as the beginning chain for double crochet. Counting as 1 double crochet. Then go back to the 4th stitch from the end, which is the last stitch of the starting chain. The 2 sides of the front loops of the chain are called half stitches. The carried yarn on the back is called the inner ridge. Next, insert the hook into the inner ridge on the back of the chain stitch. Work 1 double crochet. The braid on the upper right is the stitch of the double crochet. Skip 2 stitches on the starting chain. Still insert the hook into the inner ridge. Work 1 DC 3-in-1 on this inner ridge, meaning crochet 3 double crochets into the same stitch. This DC 3-in-1 is completed. We'll call this stitch pattern leaf from now on. Continue skipping 2 stitches. Work 1 leaf on the inner ridge. Following the pattern of skipping 2 chain stitches. Work 1 leaf on the inner ridge. Keep going until the 4th stitch of the starting chain. After completing the last leaf, skip 2 stitches. On the first chain stitch of the starting chain, make 1 double crochet 2-in-1, which means working 2 double crochets in the same stitch. The double crochet increase is completed. This completes the first row. We'll consider the side facing us now, with the neater texture, as the right side of the fabric, which is the side where the yarn tail is on the left-hand side. Continue to crochet the second row. Start with 3 chain stitches as the beginning chain. Turn the workpiece counterclockwise. Then work into the space below the previous row, between the double crochet increase and the leaf. Make 1 leaf. Continue making 1 leaf in the next space between leaves. Following the pattern of picking up the space between leaves from the previous row, work 1 leaf to complete this row. After completing the last leaf, work 1 double crochet into the top chain stitch of the beginning chain from the previous row. Since the stitch pattern and color will change in the next row, switch colors. Make 1 incomplete double crochet first. Yarn over. Pick up both the front loop and the back loop. Draw the yarn through. Then yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops on the hook. This completes one incomplete double crochet. Then take the new yarn and make a knot. The yarn loop of the new yarn. Draw through both loops of the incomplete double crochet from the previous row. Then adjust the size of the loop on the hook, as well as the tension of the incomplete double crochet made with the original yarn. Joining the yarn is done. This double crochet is also completed. This is the method for changing colors in double crochet. This completes row 2. Move on to row 3. We call the original yarn the original yarn. The newly joined yarn the new yarn. Continue with the new yarn by making 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Pay attention to bringing up the original yarn while crocheting. When making the second chain stitch, carry the original yarn over the new yarn. Then continue to complete this turning chain. This is the method of making the turning chain while carrying the yarn. Then turn the work piece. Now on the right side of the fabric. Pay attention that the carried yarn should be on the wrong side of the fabric. On the last double crochet of the previous row, make one more double crochet with the new yarn and change colors. Note that now on the wrong side of the previous row's double crochet, the stitch is at the upper left. First make an incomplete double crochet. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through the stitch. Then yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops on the hook. This completes one incomplete double crochet. Then place the new yarn behind. Pick up the original yarn. Yarn over and draw through both loops on the hook. One double crochet is completed, and the color change is done. While changing colors, you can hold the yarn being switched out with your right hand. To prevent the loops of the incomplete double crochet from becoming too loose. After completing the color change, remember to adjust the tension of this loop promptly. Simply place the switched out yarn behind. Keep the new yarn on top and the original yarn below. One on top, one underneath, maintaining this order consistently. This helps prevent the 2 yarns from tangling during crocheting. If you notice tangling, untangle them immediately to avoid knots. Continue working in the gap of the next leaf. Crochet 1 leaf with the original yarn and switch colors. First make 2 double crochets with the original yarn. Then make 1 double crochet and switch colors. One leaf is completed and the color change is done. Pay attention that the carried yarn on the wrong side shouldn't be too tight or too loose. You can gently pull the fabric after completing each leaf to make the carried yarn loose enough. And try to place the knots and carried yarn on the wrong side and edges of the fabric to avoid affecting the appearance. Continue crocheting 1 leaf and switching colors in the same way. First make 2 double crochets with the new yarn. Then make 1 double crochet and switch colors. The second leaf is completed, and the color change is done. Continue crocheting one leaf and switching colors in each leaf gap. Alternating 2 colors method. Continue to finish this row. When switching colors, pay attention to keep the carried yarn on the wrong side loose enough. After completing the last leaf, insert the hook into the top chain of the beginning chain. Pick up the front loop and both legs. Make 1 double crochet 2 in 1. Since the stitch color remains the same for the next row, no need to switch colors here. This completes row 3. After finishing row 3, measure the current dimension. If it differs significantly from the pattern chart, it's recommended to adjust your tension and recrochet to avoid affecting the finished product's dimensions. Next, crochet row 4. This row follows a similar pattern to row 2. Start with new yarn by making 3 beginning chains. Then turn the workpiece. Crochet 1 leaf in each leaf gap. Pay attention to keep the original yarn on the wrong side of the fabric. Which is the side facing us now? Crochet while guiding the yarn. Bring the original yarn to the other end of the fabric. After completing the last leaf, pull the carried yarn to prevent it from curling inside while stretching the fabric. Adjust the tension of the carried original yarn to make the carried yarn loose enough, ensuring consistent width throughout the fabric. Finally, work 1 double crochet in the turning chain. Since the stitch color remains the same for the next row, no need to switch colors here either. Remember to wrap the original yarn in this double crochet stitch. This completes the 4th row. Continue crocheting the 5th row. The crocheting method for this row is similar to the 3rd row. Make 3 beginning chains as the turning chain while carrying the yarn. Then turn the work piece. Work 1 double crochet in the double crochet stitch and switch colors. Then continue following the color change pattern of the third row to complete this row. Remember to stretch and tidy up after completing each leaf. Keep the carried yarn loose enough. Also make sure the new yarn and original yarn don't get tangled. After completing the last leaf, in the last chain stitch of the previous row's beginning chain, work 1 DC2 in 1. The next row's stitch pattern color is different from this row, so switch colors at the second stitch of the DC2 in 1. This completes the fifth row. Continue crocheting the sixth row. This row's method is similar to the fourth row. Make 3 beginning chains. Turn the work piece. Then work leaves with carried yarn in the leaf gaps sequentially. Pay attention that the carried yarn should be on the wrong side. Which is the side facing us now? Stretch the fabric after completing. Adjust the tension of the carried yarn. The next row's stitch pattern color is different from this row, so switch colors. Continue working 1 DC in the turning chain and switch colors. This completes the sixth row. Consider rows 3 to 6 as one sequence. In the first row of the sequence, carry the yarn when making the beginning chains, then alternate crocheting with 2 yarns. Stretch the fabric after completing each leaf. Adjust the tension of the carried yarn. Do not switch colors at the ending. Crochet the second row of the sequence with new yarn. No need to carry the yarn for the beginning chains. Do not switch colors while crocheting. This completes the sequence. Need to carry the yarn. Wrap the original yarn inside. Pull the original yarn after completion to prevent it from curling inside the fabric. Then stretch the fabric to adjust the tension of the carried yarn. Do not switch colors at the ending. In the third row of the sequence, carry the yarn when making the beginning chains. Then alternate crocheting with 2 yarns. The pattern is similar to the first row of the sequence. Need to switch colors at the ending. Crochet the fourth row of the sequence with the original yarn. Do not carry the yarn for the beginning chains. Do not switch colors while crocheting. Need to carry the yarn. Wrap the new yarn inside. Need to switch colors at the ending. Follow the above color change pattern next. Continue crocheting using the method of working leaves in the leaf gaps. Pay attention to keeping the carried yarn on the wrong side when changing colors and carrying yarn. After each color change and carrying yarn is done, always stretch the fabric to make the carried yarn loose enough. The row numbers on the chart are for reference only. The actual length of the main part can be adjusted according to your preference, referring to the remaining yarn amount. It's recommended to keep the stitch pattern of the last row consistent with the chart. After completing the final row, secure with 1 chain stitch. Then pull up a large loop and cut the yarn. And pull tight this chain stitch. Then cut the other yarn as well. Tie both yarns together to secure. Then hide the starting yarn tail and ending yarn tail on the wrong side. After completion, trim the excess yarn tails. This completes the demonstration of the scarf main part crocheting method. Next, crochet the edging. The edging goes around the edges of the main part. Crocheting in rounds. The new stitches used include single crochet, slip stitch. Please watch my demonstration of the specific crocheting method. Take the yarn corresponding to the edging. To make it clearer for everyone, here we still use cotton yarn for demonstration. Hold the yarn tail. First make a slip knot. Then take the main part of the scarf. At the placement of stitches, for the double crochet of the last stitch in row 1, pull through a loop. Adjust the tension. Then make 1 beginning chain to start. Place the stitch marker on the entire loop of the hook. Pay attention to this yarn being crocheted. Don't put it inside the stitch marker. Continue to work 1 single crochet in the same insertion point. This is the first stitch of the edging. You can weave in ends while crocheting. Weave in the starting yarn tail. Then on the first row of the main part. On the turning chain of 3 chains. Work 2 single crochets. Then on the adjacent double crochet on the left side, which is the double crochet at the end of the second row, work 1 single crochet. After completing the first few stitches with the original yarn, you can use your hands to open up the stitch pattern to check. On the turning chain or double crochet, where you insert the hook, you can see 2 strands at the base of 1 single crochet. When counting stitches, count the number of these 2 strands. Continue to work 2 single crochets on the turning chain of the next row. Work 1 single crochet on the double crochet. Follow the pattern of working 2 single crochets on the turning chain and 1 single crochet on the double crochet. Complete the side seam. Remember to carry the yarn across and wrap it inside the single crochet while crocheting. The exact number of single crochets and insertion points can be adjusted according to the actual situation. Just keep the fabric piece flat. After finishing the first single crochet on the last row's turning chain, continue to work 1 single crochet on the last chain stitch of the turning chain. Then at the corner position, work 1 chain stitch as a transition at the corner. Then work another single crochet in the same insertion point. Next on the double crochet stitches of the last row, follow the pattern of working 2 single crochets on each leaf. Continue to complete this edging section on the last row of the main part. If the length of the main part has been adjusted, the flower pattern on the last row may differ from the chart. Adjust the insertion points and quantity of single crochets as needed. Just ensure the fabric piece remains flat and neat. Complete the 2 single crochets on the last leaf. Work 2 single crochets on the double crochet increase. Then work 1 chain as a transition. Next in the same insertion point of the last single crochet, work another single crochet. Continue to work 1 single crochet on the double crochet. Then continue crocheting the edging on the turning chains and double crochets along the side. The pattern for this side is to work 2 single crochets on each double crochet. and 1 single crochet on each turning chain. Following this pattern, complete this edge. Complete the 2 single crochets on the double crochets, along the first row side of the main part. Insert the hook into the back loop of the first chain stitch of the starting chain. Work 1 single crochet. Then work 1 chain. Work another single crochet in the same insertion point. Now reaching the starting chain edge. The pattern for the starting chain edge is to work 1 single crochet in each chain space, and 1 single crochet at the insertion point of each leaf. Complete the single crochet in the last chain space. Continue at the starting position for the edging, which is inserting the hook into the last stitch of the starting chain. Work 1 single crochet. Continue with 1 chain. Slip stitch into the first single crochet of the edging, which is the position marked by the stitch marker. Pull tight. Finally work 1 chain to secure and break the yarn. Hide the yarn tail. After completing crocheting with the original yarn, you can brush the fluff on the edging with a brush to make the fluff fluffier. If you don't have a brush, you can pick it with a blunt needle. That's all for the edging. Next, let's learn how to crochet the pom-poms. Pom-poms are made using the foundation chain method, crocheting in rounds counterclockwise. After completion, attach them to the 4 corner positions of the edging. New stitch techniques used include single crochet increase and single crochet decrease. The yarn used is quite special. It's hard to see the stitches clearly. First, let me demonstrate the crocheting technique for this yarn. Then continue with cotton yarn to demonstrate the stitch techniques used. Watch me demonstrate the specific crochet method. Now I'll demonstrate the fluffy honey yarn. The crocheting in rounds method, because this yarn has long fibers. So when crocheting, the stitches are not easy to see. Here I'll show how to mark the stitches when crocheting. Let's demonstrate using single crochet as an example. When actually crocheting, follow your own pattern chart. Start with a chain stitch 1, leave a long yarn tail, and make a slip knot. Make a chain stitch. Now underneath the loop on your hook is the first chain stitch. Feel it with your hand and you'll find a small hole. Place a stitch marker on this small hole. Casting on is complete. Continue to crochet the first round. Make one beginning chain as the turning chain for single crochet. This beginning chain does not count as a stitch. Then place the stitch marker over the entire loop on your hook. Pay attention to this working yarn. Don't put it inside the stitch marker. Continue crocheting single crochets on the starting chain marked by the stitch marker. Make single crochets. Refer to the pattern chart for the exact stitch count. Insert the hook through the small hole marked by the stitch marker. Make one single crochet. The stitch marker marks the first single crochet. Feel it with your hands. There are 2 yarn loops in the stitch. It's a small dent. If you can't distinguish the stitches at first, you can place a stitch marker over the entire loop on your hook before each stitch. Continue to place stitch markers over the entire loop on your hook before crocheting each stitch. Continue inserting the hook through the small hole marked by the starting chain stitch marker. Crochet the required number of single crochets. Remove the stitch marker from the starting chain after completing. Pull tight the starting yarn tail. Leave this yarn tail to be secured at the end. Then on the first stitch marked by the stitch marker in round 1, make one slip stitch. Pull tight. The first round is complete. Continue to crochet round 2. Work one chain as beginning chain. Work the single crochet increases on the stitches from the previous round. Work one single crochet into each stitch, and mark each stitch with a stitch marker. To differentiate, you can add another stitch marker on the first stitch. After completing the first single crochet increase, do not remove the stitch marker from the first stitch of round 1 yet. Continue crocheting the current round. For the subsequent single crochet increases, after completing each single crochet increase, then remove the stitch marker below. Work one single crochet into each stitch, all the way down this round. After completing, count the number of stitch markers in this round. Once verified correct, then remove the stitch marker from the first stitch of the previous round. For each subsequent round when completed, always check the stitch count before removing the stitch markers. Now slip stitch into the first stitch of this round. Pull tight. The second round is complete. Next, continue the demonstration of round 3, using cotton yarn. Round 3 is worked on top of round 2. 1 single crochet in each stitch. Work even with single crochets. First chain 1 to begin. Then continue crocheting single crochets. Complete the last stitch. Join with the first stitch using a slip stitch. Round 3 is done. Because the yarn used for actual crocheting has longer fibers, it's harder to pass through the stitches. So when crocheting in rounds, the wrong side of the fabric has longer and denser fibers than the right side. So we turn the wrong side outwards, making it the outer side of the pom-pom. Then crochet round 4. First chain 1 to begin. Then work a single crochet decrease. First make 2 incomplete single crochets. Insert the hook into the slip stitch spot. Draw the loop through. 1 incomplete single crochet is done. Then into the adjacent stitch on the left. Pull the yarn through again. The second incomplete single crochet is completed. Now there are 3 loops on the hook. Finally yarn over and draw through all loops in once. 1 single crochet decrease is finished. Continue with the same method to work single crochet decreases. Pick up the 2 stitches on the left. Make 2 incomplete single crochets. Finally yarn over and draw through all loops in once. The second single crochet decrease is completed. Repeat this process. Continue working single crochet decreases until the end of the round. Finish the last stitch. Join with the first stitch using a slip stitch. Chain 1 to secure. Then leave a tail of about 20 centimeters and cut the yarn. Finally, weave in the excess starting yarn tail into the pom-pom. One pom-pom is completed. Thread the reserved yarn tail through a sewing needle. Insert into the chain stitch at the corner of the edging. When crocheting, if stitches are hard to see, simply insert at a suitable position at the corner of the edging. Sew back and forth between the edging and the pom-pom a few times. Finally, weave in the yarn tail into the pom-pom. Trim the excess yarn ends. The pom-pom is attached. Follow the same method. Refer to the pattern to complete the remaining pom-poms, and attach them at the corner positions of the edging. That concludes the pom-pom section. Up to this point, the entire scarf has been explained. If you have any unclear parts during the crocheting process, don't hesitate to join our Facebook group to get supports. Susan's family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.